Hello and welcome to MFCP Woodworking. I'm your host John, and today we're going to be doing more letter openers. These ones will also be included in the ongoing promotion, but we're going to look at a different technique, a different style here. I have two letter openers that I've made already, and we're going to work on making another one. This one is made from an alder stick. As you can see, we left the bark on the handle. You know, there's bark on. We only carved it for the blade, and we did some embellishments on the end here. This one's actually been around for quite a while. Did the same thing with this one. This one though is a little special because it's the kind of wood we're going to be using today. As you can see on this side of the handles, the bark is quite red. You can zoom it in here, red. Other side happens to be green because it was laying against something. This is from my own property. I did go get some of this material out of the ditch further up the road and got a better red color out of it. This is called red Osier Dogwood. It is used in basket weaving, and outside of that it is an ornamental, there are ornamental cultivars that you can buy and plant in your garden. What is special about this is the bark. During the winter, the bark turns red. During the summer, it's green like this. But during the winter, it turns a very deep red, and even when the wood dries, the red stays. Not as bright, not as brilliant, but it does remain with that red. And honestly, that is the only reason why I would ever make anything out of this stuff. It is not very hard, which is not a sin in itself. It tends to be a little bit brittle. It also has a massive, for its size, pith. Pith is the center of the wood where it started growing, the initial growing point. Virtually all wood has a pith, but in some it doesn't matter. For example, in my alder ones, if you look close, you can see this. This is the pith. It's a dark line. It's running right through the center of the wood. On the end you can see it as well. It's right there. And most woods have that. A lot of cracks will start at the pith, which is why it's not ideal in a piece of wood that you're using for working. But when you're carving like this, a stick, you have to work with it. Red Osier Dogwood, if you zoom in on this one, you can see that it has a very big pith, which is why I did this one off center, the blade, because that pith is very styrofoamy in the middle, and you can literally poke it out with a wire. It's the size of a heavy pencil lead. You can't if it's exposed on both sides, your blade will break and fall apart. The way I've got it set up, it'll soak in finish when we put in on the polyurethane and harden up, and it won't be such an issue as long as it's supported by wood elsewhere. And that's one of the reasons why they don't use it to make anything else. In fact, I'm the only person I know of that actually carves stuff out of it. I am considering another product out of it is to make beads, bark on beads, because that red color is really spectacular, and it's kind of cool. So I have a number of them here. Two of these are really too skinny, and I'll probably turn them into hair sticks later on because I carve other stuff besides letter openers. But I got some thicker stuff here. One's got a curve to it, and debating whether that's the one we should use or not. Now I think we're going to use this one here. I'm going to put an angle on the end. Remember, we're doing this because of the bark. This wood is really worthless except for the bark. That's what we're doing it for, and I like the bark. So we're going to use it. We're going to get an angle here. I'm looking for the lightest side here. I'm going to put it at the bottom of it. I'm going to go through it. It's not difficult to carve. You can see the pith emerging in my cut here. It's a very round. It's like looking at the end of a pencil. I'm going to give that angle here, and to offset that for the handle, I'm going to make a cut here stopped cut. We're going to go into that, so I got to define it. Cut in a little further. Because I got to get this right parallel on the other side, or it won't look right. Okay, how are we doing here? Just trying to get the angles right. I'm going to cut the other way on the other side. Now I can fix this a little bit afterwards, but if I mess it up too badly, yeah, we're only off by a little bit here. A little further. Okay, that's actually fairly nice. And this is going to be a fairly straight blade. So we're going to curve it upwards from the flat here. You can see this wood actually has a greenish shade to it. I'm not going to go the full length. I don't want one that long. I hit my cameraman with the pieces here. Make sure my angle is good on this. That pith gets really big by that little bitty knot. You have to be very aware of where that pith is. So I've got that defined there. I'm going to come in from the sides and shave it down. Trick is to not end up with a pith right in the middle of everything, because it'll affect the strength of the blade. And while we're not trying to make a strong blade that you can stab into something hard, it's just for opening letters. It doesn't have to be real strong, but it's got to have some strength to it. And this is going to be fairly delicate anyway. And this one is only going to have a sharp edge on the bottom edge. I'm not going to do a two-sided blade like I did in previous recording. That pith could be a bit of an issue. We don't want it to be. Keep in mind that it will absorb a lot of finish when we actually do the finish on it, and that will harden it right up along with the rest of the wood. I just want to make sure that this is not going to be too weak. I think the bark is what really does it with this. Is one of the reasons why I actually go through the trouble of getting it. Because honestly, if it wasn't for the bark, I wouldn't use this stuff at all. You can see it's coming along, the shape is getting refined here. The handle, of course, is red. And the rest, I won't stain these, because I want to make sure that this red is what stands out. That's what I went through the trouble of getting on it. The wood is soft in the sense that I don't even think it rates as 500 on the hardness scale. I think it's less than that. I think most woods are harder. It's one of the softest woods I've ever worked with. Just got to get that blade down to a point where I'm not. Now when you make this cut, I've done this with a small handsaw before as well. You don't want to go too deep, and I found it very disconcerting how much it would flex right after the cuts. And on the top edge, we're just going to barely take the bark off of it, because I'm pretty much down to the pith there, and the pith is so soft that it actually tears as I cut. It's not as bad when the wood is drier, but it's harder to carve when it's dry. Slowly work this down a little bit. So we're leaving this fairly blunt. I will refine it more with the sandpaper, and we'll get it down to a point where it's actually a sharp enough edge that you can get the concentrate on what I'm doing here. At any rate, this will be available with our draw, along with other letter openers. If you really want this one, you can win it along with the draw. In fact, if you leave your comment on this particular video, I will accept it the same as I did on the other video, as a request to enter the draw. One thing always to remember though, you must be subscribed to the channel to be eligible to win anything in my draws or my giveaways. And as always, I will send it anywhere in the world. I can send these fairly cheaply. The postage is not too bad on it. And you'll also get a chance to pick which one you want, as I'm can be really nice about that. In fact, I might actually custom carve one for you if one of the ones you want is already gone. I might be able to make a second one that's similar. This wood also makes beautiful hair sticks as well. The same principle. You got to leave the bark on part of it, or there's no real point. You can do similar things with other woods that'll give you less trouble with things like the pith and all. We're getting an edge on this. Now, the pith is going to be a bit of an issue, but I'm confident that with the finish it's going to come out really nice. So with that, all that'll be left to do is to sand and put a finish on it. But the basics of doing this are right here, and it'll be all ready to go for that. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, if you want to enter the contest, you like my stuff, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to enter, of course, you'll need to comment. So until next time, thanks for watching, and happy carving or whatever else it is you want to do with wood. Thanks for watching.